everybody, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Tip of the Spear. And today we have with us, besides my friend and colleague Dave Strohmaier, fellow commissioner, we have Jason Emery, who's our Chief Information Officer.
So Jason, this is a new title that you have and a new office that we've created in the past couple of years. Maybe talk to us just a little bit about what you do and what the Office of Internal Services does for Missoula County.
Yeah, gladly. Thanks for having me here today. We're usually the folks that are behind the scenes and don't get a lot of public attention, which is just fine. But it is a new position. It was actually kind of innovative on your part, really. I certainly didn't come up with this. So I worked as a technology director, so the main IT guy at the county for a lot of years. And about a year and a half ago, the commission came up with this idea to kind of consolidate the oversight of internal services. So that's really all those kind of most of those internal departments that support the outward facing, groups here at the county providing services to our citizens. So it's kind of a unique role. It doesn't really exist a lot of other places. I have to explain it a lot, which is fine. So essentially what it comes down to is I still oversee technology, so I still act as a department head, which is, a little bit unique for some of the officers. So I do direct oversight of that group, and that's 5 divisions. So that's, kind of our core IS folks, GIS, so the property information system that everybody loves, and rightfully so, is in that, telephone services, applications, and the record center. So all the county records fall under that technology thing. The things that you added were facilities, so facilities management, which actually worked really well because there was a lot of really good overlap between technology and facilities, a lot of shared duties there. Central services, so that's like the motor pool, the print shop, the mail room, all those kind of back office things, supplies, all those things that we do there. And then the project management group, which is just a department of one, is part of that. His name is Josh as well. I provide kind of that general oversight. I do have a lot of managers, so I certainly don't do it on my own, but that's kind of it in a nutshell what that office is. So at the end of the day, we're there to support everybody else's mission. Yeah.
Kind of the nervous system of Missoula County government.
Yeah.
So typically we've seen in the last 10, 20 years technology changing quickly, and we respond to that. We saw that on kind of hyper overdrive here with COVID, where in a relatively super short order, you oversaw the transition of a large entity who works mostly in person to working mostly virtually. And then we had to stand up a testing center and a vaccine center. And if you talk about that a little bit and some lessons learned from that transition.
Sure. Well, I think it was crazy. I'll tell you that last April, so not 2021, but 2020, March, April, it was crazy. I mean, we went from almost 1,000 employees in the office to almost 1,000 wanting to work from home in some manner or another and trying to keep those services going. I think one thing, that really helped was the county had made a lot of investments prior to that. We didn't have to invent everything from scratch, which would have been much more difficult. Even just trying to buy equipment was almost impossible because everybody in the world was trying to do the same thing. So I have to give kudos to county leadership, both this commission and previous commissions, that really saw the value in spending that money. So we were able to leverage a lot of the stuff we were already doing, just beef it up a little bit more. I'll admit there was a lot of 70-hour weeks, 7 days a week, with myself and some of my key team members just trying to assess where people were at, process those requests, get equipment out. I mean, we were taking old broken equipment and combining parts into one working piece of equipment, and just a lot of creativity. And I have to give the credit to the team that was able to do that. And then once we were able to kind of get to the all right, we're kind of working, then we could go back and start looking at how can we make it better and do that sort of thing. And really our partners stepped up too. You talked about Flynn Lane and Lucky's, Blackfoot Telephone, Charter, Spectrum Communications helped as well. And so they were able to, in a lot of ways, put us to the front of the line to get connectivity, because without connectivity, none of this works. And I've said this before to others, but I don't know where we would have been 25 years ago in America because the technology didn't exist. Teams and SharePoint and the VPNs and the mobility that we have, where most of these things could work. We didn't have when I started my career. We would have truly shut down, I think, or had people exposed to the virus, working in the office.
Absolutely. So we talk a lot about resiliency in many areas of what we do in local government here and for the community, and there's an aspect of that with what you were able to and your team was able to adapt to the COVID virus with, and also figure out how we can be innovative in the midst of a crisis. So if there's, I guess, one silver lining or of a very dark period that we've lived through, it seems like we've figured out the ways in which technology can actually, beyond the pandemic, enhance public engagement, enhance delivery of services to the public. Any other, I guess, lessons that you've learned that you think will better position us to be resilient and deliver services to the public even beyond this crisis or future crises that we're in?
No, I think that's a great question and something I've given a lot of thought to. I think as county employees, it's stretched our boundaries a little bit. Things were, maybe we weren't as willing to embrace some of the tech that we even had, fully. I think it forced us to do that, even though it was probably painful at times. But I think it opened a lot of minds on what could be possible with some of these technologies. You mentioned public engagement. I think about hybrid meetings. Folks that maybe want to come to a public meeting with the Board of County Commissioners, but they live in Cedar Lake and they don't want to drive to Missoula. They can participate now.
Did we do any of that a couple years ago?
No,
I don't think so. It's either in person or
that was it.
That was it.
Maybe you could call in on the phone. I can't remember. But
really, this crisis and your response to it paved the way kind of for a new era, that no matter what happens, I can't imagine us ever getting away from hybrid meetings, given that we live in this really large county and people want to take part and maybe don't want to spend 45 minutes each way driving back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge benefit. And I think it started the creative juices too, and some people that I could use it this way, and I've seen that with our departments. They come to me a lot with ideas, and can we do this and can we do that to try and leverage this technology, things that they never would have considered before. So I think that's a benefit, and I just see that growing more and more. Obviously tech isn't the solution to everything, but it's a very powerful tool if used well.
Sure.
I think space is another thing that I see. I'm heavily involved with space needs with both technology and facilities, and
the physical
space. Yeah, I mean, we're always struggling for space at the county, and I know other organizations do as well. But can we do that better? Can we use flex space where we have more generic stations that maybe people work at home a couple days a week, and then they come in and the other person's at home, and so I think there's a lot of good possibilities there that we can just and with the mobile technology, you just come in, plug your machine in, you work for the day, you take it home, and you're good to go. And I think it helps childcare. Your kid gets sick, well, I'm not sick. I just need to stay home and take care of him and give him soup and water and whatever. And but I can still be productive, by having to do that. So I think that's changed a little bit too, where maybe a lot of folks just weren't productive for that day because they had to stay at home. So
I see our all community council meetings as a great leap forward, where we have these separate community councils in different parts of the county that once a month all get together online.
No, absolutely. There are members of our community who either find it inconvenient, have to work during a certain period of time of the day, or just live so distant from Missoula that it makes it difficult to get in here for our meetings, whereas they can do it remotely. It engages a whole new option, a whole new demographic.
Yeah.
So on the dark side of all this, it does seem that with all of this work happening virtually, we may be a bit more vulnerable in terms of cybersecurity. What are your thoughts on cybersecurity generally?
Yeah, I come from a financial services background, prior to my county life. So, cybersecurity was a big part of what we did. It was, the feed into it, so to speak. And it it did create new challenges because we kind of went from that idea to where everybody is, we layer our security, so you got multiple walls, you got a moat, and you got walls, you got spikes and things. It's pretty safe inside the network.
Right.
Not perfectly safe, pretty safe. But now we've spread that out, and everybody, I don't know what's on their network at home. I mean, do they have a refrigerator that's compromised by bad guys? It happens. Internet of Things, they call that.
Yeah.
My refrigerator is compromised by mold sometimes, mildew, but
it's true, or whatever. And so I don't have control of those environments. And so how do we keep people safe and keep them from bringing something back into our environment? And so, again, I think a lot of things we are already doing. We have really good technology. We do a lot of time on cybersecurity awareness training, which I think is key. No matter how good the tech is, we're still human. We make mistakes, and we can overcome, even the best tech. And I'm not immune to it. I mean, IT people do it as well. So I think awareness and, people grumble a little bit. I have to do that again. But yes, it's a good thing because I think keeping it top of mind is key. We certainly did some additional investments. We leveraged CARES Act money to make some investments. So that was a good use of that money where we beefed up the security at the endpoint. So, that laptop, for instance, is now no longer behind all these other barriers. So it has to do a lot more of that itself. And so we were able to beef that up, have better visibility. We engaged with some additional services, so outside vendors to help us keep our finger on what's going on a 24/7 basis, which my staff really can't do, and that's proven useful too. We get alerts, and we actually have analysts that call us that are watching that all day, every day, and if they see something suspicious, they can jump on it right away. And so I think that was a good investment there.
So I guess broadening the lens out to the broader community out here, we've been talking a bit about security measures, cyber security measures for Missoula County government. If you're a private business owner or a citizen who uses the internet technology, any advice? Because I know on my own personal email account, I just get a ton of spam and bogus emails on a daily basis, some of which look legit until you poke around a little deeper. But just any general words of wisdom?
Sure, absolutely. I think a lot of the same things apply, whether it's personal or a corporate environment, an enterprise environment like we have. Good endpoint security products, on your computer, whether it's a Mac, a PC. Keep those up to date. It's really easy to let them expire and forget about them. Absolutely vital. And they're just getting better and better over time. They protect you from ransomware. They protect you from things like somebody looking at you through your camera on your laptop. That happens.
Happens.
That's the thing. They have protections for that. They'll filter your email. All of those things are important. Of course, awareness. Take your time when you're looking at all those emails that are coming in that look legit. Like, take a look at it. Maybe hover over the links a little bit. Is that really going to Bank of America or Apple? Or no, it's not. I'm not going to click that. Backups. I think backups are something that's overlooked a lot by individuals. Is you have your pictures and your financial files and all those things on your laptop or your phone. Back it up to the cloud, preferably. So one, it protects you from natural disasters. Your house burns down, whatever. That can be devastating, but at least you don't lose all your stuff. That's irreplaceable. But if you are compromised, like ransomware, your computer's locked up, that's okay. We can wipe it, and you still have your data safe. It's separate from your environment. So it's really simple things. It's just slowing down, paying attention, and being aware. I think is probably the key advice to anybody.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
So one last question for you.
All right.
Technology and the future are kind of embedded, and we think it change over time. It's always, well, what changed in terms of technology? So if you were going to look into the future a little bit, what do you see?
Well, you hear a lot about AI. That's kind of a general term. Artificial intelligence. I think it's probably more accurate to call it machine learning. It's probably a little more. And true AI, I don't know will ever be a thing. Is it self-aware? But they have figured out ways to write software to where if you feed it enough information, it can start learning. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that, to where machines can start making basic decisions and doing more than just straight input-output sort of things. So I think you're going to see a lot of growth in that. we have to be careful with it. I think something like that could get out of hand. And you read the sci-fi stuff,
Yeah, right.
Terminators take over the world. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I think it's something we have to be careful with. You certainly see cloud computing, and again, it's a general term, but basically cloud means someone else's computer, someone else's hard drive. That's really all cloud is.
Yeah, I always thought cloud sounds really great when really it's a storage container in Elko, Nevada.
It is.
It doesn't sound nearly as
No,
it's
it
in the
doesn't.
cloud.
You can't market that, but I know we're certainly leverage that, and the benefits of it is trying to invest and build that infrastructure. Everybody doing it themselves. It's very difficult and expensive, and sometimes you just don't have the expertise or the financial resource to do it. So what cloud does is it allows some of these providers to build all that out, and then you get that economy of scale.
Sure.
And really, it helped us with the pandemic too. I mean, you think about our email platforms and SharePoint; they all lived in the cloud.
That's great.
And so people they just need an internet connection, and they could work from anywhere. So you can see just continued massive growth, along those lines. More portable technology. You look at a smartwatch and the things that those are going to be able to do. It's going to disconnect us from that institutional sit at your workstation idea. So I think you're going to see a lot of development there. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much,
Thanks a ton,
Jason.
Jason.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I guess before we leave, it goes without saying we are still in the midst of a global pandemic, and things are not good, folks. Our hospitals are stuffed full of sick folks who are not vaccinated primarily, and I guess I would just want to end by encouraging folks to get vaccinated if you haven't already. We mentioned we have the facilities here in Missoula County at Lucky's Market and probably other places also where folks can get vaccinated. So be safe.
Take care of yourself.
We'll see you at the next edition of Tip of the Spear.
Thanks.
Thank you.